The more disciplined you are with money, the more broke you stay. Let that land for a second. Because if something just pushed back in you, if some part of you wants to argue, that resistance is exactly what this video is about. Every financial expert tells you the same thing: track your spending, resist the impulse, build the habit, stay disciplined, and you actually try, you say no to things, you white-knuckle through cravings, you feel proud when you hold the line, and somehow the financial pressure never actually lifts. You get better at the fight, but the war never ends. What I'm about to show you isn't a new budgeting method. It's a flaw hiding inside the very model everyone tells you to follow. A structural problem dressed up as a virtue. And once you see it, your relationship with money will shift in a way that no amount of discipline ever managed to achieve. Here's what financial discipline actually is at its mechanical core. Discipline is the act of resisting an existing desire. That's the whole thing. You want something, you don't buy it, you call that control. But notice what that model requires. The desire has to exist. The want has to be present, active, pulling at you, otherwise there's nothing to discipline. Financial discipline doesn't dissolve desire. It requires desire to function. You cannot resist something you don't want. This is the trap nobody talks about. Every time you successfully resist a purchase, every time you flex that self-control muscle, you are training one specific skill: the ability to resist desires that are still fully alive. And desires that are fully alive have gravity. They linger, they return, they wait for the moment your guard drops. Think about something you've resisted buying recently, something you said no to, something you told yourself you didn't need. Do you still want it? Most people do. The desire didn't go away, it got suppressed, temporarily contained like water behind a dam with the full pressure still building behind it. And willpower does weaken. That's not a character flaw, that's biology. Research on self-regulation consistently shows that resistance is a finite resource. The more decisions you have to make against your own desires, the more depleted your capacity becomes. By the end of a hard day, the budget breaks down, not because you're weak, because you've been fighting all day. The financially disciplined person lives in a permanent state of low-grade warfare. They become extraordinarily skilled soldiers in a battle that never ends, because they've never once questioned whether the war needed to be fought at all. Now here's where it gets counterintuitive. The people who are genuinely financially free, not just skilled at saying no, but actually free, they don't look like soldiers. They don't look like they're white-knuckling anything. They just don't particularly want the things that drain everyone else. It looks like discipline from the outside. Someone watches them walk past a store empty-handed and thinks, wow, incredible self-control. But that's not what's happening inside. There's no battle being fought, no resistance being exerted. The desire simply isn't there at the same intensity, or isn't there at all. This is what gets completely missed in every personal finance conversation. Everyone is obsessed with how to resist better. Nobody asks whether resistance is even the right tool. Here's the inversion. When you practice financial discipline, you are practicing resistance. And resistance, by definition, requires the presence of the thing you're resisting. Every act of self-control confirms and maintains the desire. It keeps the wanting alive. You walk past the store, you feel the pull, you resist, you feel proud. The desire remains unexamined, intact, waiting. But what if, instead of getting better at fighting the pull, you examined where the pull actually comes from? Not judgmentally, curiously. When you want to buy something, the upgrade, the item, the thing you've been thinking about, what is the real thing being sought? Status. The feeling of being someone who owns that kind of thing. Relief from boredom. A reward for something difficult you've been enduring. Connection to an identity you want to inhabit. The purchase is almost never about the object. It's about the feeling the object is supposed to create. And when you see that clearly, when you can trace the desire back to its actual root, something quiet happens. The desire loses some of its grip, not always all of it, but some, because now you can see that what you're actually seeking and what you're about to buy are two completely different things. This is the practice the Stoics understood that most modern financial advice has forgotten. Epictetus didn't say to resist what you want. He said that freedom comes not from satisfying desire, but from eliminating it, not suppressing it, not managing it, eliminating it through understanding. The difference is everything. Suppression takes energy. It requires constant maintenance. It depletes the reservoir you need for everything else in your life. Elimination requires none of that. Once a desire is genuinely dissolved, once you've examined it clearly enough that it no longer holds its pull, there's nothing left to manage. The money stays without a fight. But here's the uncomfortable implication of all this. If desire dissolution is the real lever and not discipline, then most of what the financial world teaches points at the wrong level of the problem entirely. Budget better, track more carefully, build stronger habits of resistance. These aren't useless ideas, but they are all answers to one question: how do I become a better soldier? None of them ask whether the war is necessary. And people spend years, sometimes decades, becoming extraordinarily skilled at fighting a war they never needed to fight. The energy spent tracking, resisting, white-knuckling, all of it pointed at maintaining a battlefield that could simply be abandoned. That's a difficult thing to sit with, because it means the discipline you've been proud of might have been the wrong kind of strength all along: real effort, real sacrifice, aimed precisely one level above where the actual problem lives. Here's the shift. The goal isn't to spend less through effort, the goal is to want less through clarity. Those are completely different projects. Spending less through effort means you still want the things, you just deny yourself. Every dollar saved this way carries a quiet cost, a small expenditure of psychological energy, a subtle accumulation of deprivation that eventually creates pressure. And pressure always finds a release. Wanting less through clarity means the things simply don't hold power over you anymore. You walk past the store and feel nothing in particular, not pride at resisting, just nothing, because there's nothing to resist. The desire examined itself out of existence. When that happens, money accumulates without effort, not because you're more disciplined, because you're no longer at war. The practice that gets you there is quieter than any budget. It's the consistent habit of sitting with a desire before acting on it, not to suppress it, but to look at it. To ask honestly, what is this actually about? What am I really seeking? Is the thing I'm about to buy actually capable of delivering what I'm looking for? Most desires examined with genuine honesty reveal themselves as mistaken strategies. The upgrade won't deliver the status, the item won't deliver the peace, the purchase won't deliver the identity. And once you see that clearly, not as an intellectual concept, but as a real thing you can feel, the wanting softens. Sometimes it disappears entirely, not because you were strong, because you were clear. This is what financial minimalism actually means, underneath everything. Not owning fewer things as a lifestyle statement, not proving something through scarcity. It's having worked through enough desires clearly enough that simplicity becomes the natural outcome, not the achievement. Not the thing you maintain through discipline, but the thing that remains when the desires no longer have their grip. The minimalist doesn't look at a store and feel virtuous for walking out empty-handed. They look at it and feel genuinely not much at all, because the examination happened earlier, long before the store. The clarity came from looking inward, not from resisting outward. Think about every purchase you've ever successfully resisted through financial discipline, every one you're proud of. Understand this, each of those was a desire you managed, never one you dissolved. The wanting is probably still there, waiting. Now think about the last time you were about to buy something and genuinely realized mid-thought that it couldn't actually give you what you were looking for. The moment you saw the gap between what you wanted and what the purchase could deliver. That moment cost nothing, required no willpower. The money stayed without a fight. That is the difference between a soldier who wins today's battle and someone who quietly, permanently left the battlefield. Every dollar you've ever saved through willpower was hard. Every dollar you saved by genuinely not wanting the thing was effortless. The goal of a serious financial life isn't to resist more. It's to want with precision. Not to consume less through force, but to desire only what actually delivers what you seek. Everything else becomes uninteresting on its own, and money accumulates quietly in the space where desire used to live. That's not discipline. That's clarity, and it's the only financial skill that doesn't exhaust itself over time.